In the thick of the high school football postseason, the last wave of the area round wrapping up today, we start with a Class 5A D2 second round clash between Gregory Portland and undefeated Alamo Heights inside of the Alamo Dome. Second half, the Mules ahead 21-7 when QB Colin Ernst keeps it himself and makes his own lane on the outside for a 60-yard rushing touchdown. The senior has been making plays like that all season long. Then on the next possession, Ernst hands it off to Michael Terry III. He's a four-star prospect for a reason. Nobody can get in his way, and he escapes for a 45-yard touchdown run. The Mules advance, winning 49-14. They'll see Piper in the regional round. Over at Rutledge Stadium, Dripping Springs in town to take on Judson for a 6A to D2 area round playoff battle. The Rockets looking to go to the air, but Elijah Favela is intercepted by Theo Howard, who gets tackled at the 15-yard line. That would lead to a toss to Jack Tyndall, who escapes along the outside for the score. Judson later answered as Nathaniel Stanley takes off for 6. It was a close game, but Dripping Springs would get the last-minute touchdown to win it, 38-34. And that brings us to another 6A D2 area round playoff matchup between John Jay and Weslaco. The winner here faces Dripping Springs. First quarter, that was Jackson Gutierrez with a quick pitch to Jack Moda for the go-ahead TD in the first quarter. Next frame, Gutierrez rolls to his left and locates Diego Quiros for a beautiful catch and run to the house. And it's Jay who advances, winning 27-14. It'll be the Mustangs and Dripping Springs in the regional round. All right, this moment will live on forever. The Davenport volleyball team wins its first ever championship in thrilling fashion. Davenport trailed Canyon Randall in the Class 4A title game 2-0, and when all odds were against them, the Wolves prevailed to win back-to-back sets to force an improbable fifth set where Davenport clutched up, winning the final set 17-15, capturing the Class 4A crown. Our Nick Mantis is at the scene of Davenport's arrival back to town. We'll have the team's reactions tomorrow at 5:30. Texas A&M hosting Abilene Christian for the Aggies' first game since their former head coach Jimbo Fisher was fired last week. Defensive line coach Elijah Robinson serving as the interim coach. It was just that kind of day for the Aggies. Up 24-7 in the third, there's Moose Muhammad with a one-handed grab, and he hurdles his way to the logo. Now the 12th man special stole the show in the final quarter. Robinson turned to an all walk-on kickoff team. A nod to former coach Jackie Sherrill, the first to do it 40 years ago, and the bowl-eligible Aggies win by a 38-10 final. Next, A&M closes out the season at 15th-ranked LSU. All right, more scores around college football. Number 7, Texas and Iowa State featured in the evening primetime slate. Texas wins 26-6 now, 9-1 overall. TCU keeps its bowl hopes alive with a win over Baylor 42-17. A top 25 matchup, K-State tops Kansas 31-27. Then Texas Tech secures a win over UCF thanks to a blocked BAT that would have tied the game. The Red Raiders have won 3 straight in a battle for bowl eligibility. And your eyes do not deceive you. Texas State is thumped 77-31 by Arkansas State. And UIW finishes its schedule with a big win over Houston Christian, 45-24. Now the Cards await their FCS playoff fate. Right here in town, it was a battle of Texas. The Trinity Tigers hosting Hardin-Simmons as the only 2 teams represented in the NCAA Division III playoffs. On the Tigers' second drive, QB Tucker Horn airs one out to the corner where Ryan Merrifield comes down with it in double coverage to put Trinity up 7-0. Then midway through the second quarter, Horn moving up in the pocket, gets hit, and he throws it to Merrifield, and Merrifield makes a miraculous catch. The Tigers win this one 20-6, advancing to the second round of the playoffs. The Spurs return to action with the Memphis Grizzlies in the Alamo City tonight. Both teams are off to a rough start to the year, but the Spurs have been playing good against close teams at times, but have struggled to stay consistent through 4 quarters. Now, here's how things played out at the Frost Bank Center. The Spurs led 68-51 at the half, but Memphis completely took over the fourth quarter and the Spurs fall 120-108. Stay tuned for highlights later in the show. And along with more on the Spurs, we are recapping last night's UTSA football win. It was a special night for the Roadrunners senior class.
Yeah, Mary, something they won't be forgetting.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Roaches in restaurants, not a good combination. It's the reason a Mexican restaurant with a history of high scores recently took a hit. The pest problem forced the health department to suspend their license. The night team's Tim Gerber stopped by this week to find out what was going on behind their kitchen door.
Taquitos El Dorado, located in the 3400 block of Pleasanton Road, earned a 76 on their recent health inspection, which also led to them being shut down. The score was a drop-off from the 88 they had in June and the 91 they earned in March of this year. The inspector suspending their license due to a significant roach infestation. The inspector noting several dead pests and live roaches were found inside the business. They were hiding in holes in the walls, below prep tables, the dishwashing area, and beyond. They were told to hire pest control, patch up all the holes, and do a thorough cleaning of the place. In addition to the bugs, they also had tomatillos with mold-like spores. Cooked rice was being stored in a t-shirt bag, and slices of cheese were stored right on top of raw beef. I stopped by this week to see if they've made any improvements. A worker telling me they had to close for about a week to do all the cleaning.
Have you hired pest control? Is that under control now?
Yeah, it's under control. It's pretty. We did deep cleaning. Everything just gone.
The business now hoping to get back to their streak of high scores. Vicky's Mexican restaurant in the 2300 block of Penn Road comes in with a 76. They racked up 15 violations during their inspection, 9 of which were repeats, including plumbing problems. The inspector writing the business has been told repeatedly to leave hot water on at a sink and to make repairs to leaks. They had to throw out food that wasn't cooled properly, a worker was washing dishes without any sanitizer, and the rinse step was skipped. They were storing prepared foods in t-shirt bags, and there were live and dead roaches in the kitchen. They were told to do a thorough cleaning and be ready for a re-inspection. La Michoacana Meat Market in the 1200 block of North Flores earned an 84 on their October inspection. Small living and dead insects were found in bulk food containers storing sugar and powdered cocoa. Those items were tossed out and the containers were cleaned. There were also flies and gnats hanging around the mop sink near the bakery. A worker in the butcher area washed their hands with gloves on, then walked off without drying or changing gloves. They needed to clean up a black substance growing in a cold hold. They were told to prepare for a re-inspection. For Behind the Kitchen Door, Tim Gerber, KSAT 12 News.
We are learning more information about a shooting inside a New Hampshire hospital that left the shooter and a former police chief dead. Investigators say 33-year-old John Midori opened fire inside that hospital, killing 63-year-old Bradley Haas, who was working in the lobby of that hospital at the time of the shooting. A state trooper took down Midori, and the New Hampshire Attorney General is calling that trooper a hero for preventing further violence.
The actions of this trooper saved a lot of lives, and that this trooper's actions were heroic. So I just wanted to make sure we say that today about the trooper who was on scene at New Hampshire Hospital.
Police also found an AR-style rifle, a tactical vest, and several rounds of ammunition inside Midori's van, which was found running in the parking lot. Investigators are still trying to figure out his motive. Who work for Ford Motors have approved their labor deal. That final vote showing 69% of members voted to ratify that agreement. For comparison, in a different deal, a little more than half of the General Motors members voted in favor of a similar deal. Stellantis union members are also voting on their contract, and a partial result on the UAW ratification vote tracker shows 69% of those members have voted in favor of that. A 34-year-old American man now banned from going to the Philippines for the rest of his life. Immigration authorities there say he wrote profanity on his immigration form was disrespectful to customs agents at a Filipino airport 2 weeks ago. Authorities also allege that man went as far as throwing his phone at an immigration officer. The man disputes that account and calls the allegations an overreaction. Still ahead on the Night Beat, honoring veterans who are no longer with us. How some are making sure they're not forgotten during the holidays. It is a call to honor the men and women who have served our country and are no longer with us. The Night Team's John Paul Barajas explains how we can make sure they are not forgotten this holiday season.
Walking down a row and there's wreath after wreath after wreath on a grave, and all of a sudden it gets to the section or where your loved one is buried and the gravestone is bare. And it feels like they're forgotten.
That was the case for 75% of headstones at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery last Christmas. David Bolser with nonprofit Senior Veterans Incorporated is teaming up with the Wreaths Across America to make sure those who served are remembered.
We get to celebrate things like Veterans Day and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and to do everything that we do on a normal day. We get to celebrate that and enjoy that, be with our family and so forth because of what they've done.
Bolser is calling on residents right here in Military City, USA to donate wreaths for the cemetery's 160,000 graves. But Matt Kostak with Wreaths Across America says right now, there's only enough to cover about 12,000.
We'd love for this month to get, 20 or 30,000 more headstones covered. I'd love to see a quarter of the cemetery again this year filled.
Covering 25% of those graves would require nearly $700,000 in donations. The time to help is running out. The donation deadline is November 28th.
They understand the sacrifices that all of the veteran and spouses have gone through. You see a lot of tears out there, but you see a tremendous amount of respect for the men and women who have served.
John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Wreaths Across America expects around 5,000 volunteers to lay the wreaths on December 16th. You can sign up to help, and if you're interested in donating a wreath, we have a link on our website.
All right, let's head back outside with live cam. Low 60s right now here in San Antonio. Remember, we had the cloud cover on hand today, so because of that, we didn't really have a wide range of temperatures when it came to this morning compared to this afternoon. Just about 5 degrees. That's all we were able to warm up, around 61. That was our morning low. Earlier today, 66, the official high temperature here in San Antonio. It was a little bit warmer for places that managed to tap into some sunshine this afternoon. 73 in Hondo, 77 out west in Del Rio, 75 in Carrizo Springs, and 70 degrees out east in Gonzales. Again, right now, 60s and a good number of 50s out there when it comes to current temperatures. I don't expect us to fall a whole lot more through the overnight because of the cloud cover building back in, but still it will be a cooler into the weekend. So we'll talk about that, plus the cold front moving in on Monday and Thanksgiving travel, not just here, but across the nation after the break.
Can't tell you the joy I'm getting, Mia, from just picking out the sweaters.
Yes.
I remember dreaming about this moment when we were sweltering at 110 degrees. And
in the summer.
Remember sweaters?
Exactly. I was thinking about that. You always wish for what you don't have at that moment. I saw my boots up there in the closet. I was like, I cannot wait for the day. I cannot wait for the day.
Today's the day,
And
Mia.
here we are, the sweaters, the boots, all of it, because fall weather is here in South Central Texas. And over the next week or so, it's going to stick around for the most part. Now, Monday is going to be our warmest day over the next 7, upper 70s. But then we see a cold front move in by late afternoon and into the evening, and that's going to knock our temperatures down for the rest of the upcoming week. Tuesday, you're going to notice the cooler temperatures only topping off in the mid 60s, but especially Tuesday morning, it's going to feel even colder because we're going to see wind gusts up to about 35 miles miles per hour. So that's something you'll notice ahead of Thanksgiving. Then we start to see winds calm down a bit by Wednesday and into Thanksgiving itself. It will be a cold start. 40s expected Thanksgiving morning, but an absolutely beautiful and pleasant afternoon. 60s with sunshine and low humidity. Now, before we can get there, we've got a gloomy, kind of a dreary day tomorrow. Overcast skies expected for the most part. It is going to be cool. Upper 50s near 60 degrees tomorrow morning, and then highs only topping off in the upper 60s here in San Antonio, 68 degrees by 4 o'clock. A few sprinkles to maybe some patches of drizzle certainly possible. You can see that here on your Futurecast, 8 a.m. tomorrow. We've got the cloud cover in place, and especially north and west of town, across the hill country, southern Edwards Plateau. There's the sprinkle action that is possible. That's going to continue to work eastward through Bexar County by lunchtime into the early afternoon. And then most of us, I think, are pretty quiet, but cloudy and cool Sunday afternoon. We'll keep a 10 to 20% chance in the forecast by Sunday evening and Sunday night. Then Monday, it's cold front day. I think ahead of that boundary before it gets here, by the Monday morning drive, it's possible that we see an isolated shower or two, especially near San Antonio and pointed farther off to the east in the morning. Then here comes that boundary. Again, we reach the upper 70s before it can get here, but once we see that front move through, temperatures will start to fall overnight Monday and into Tuesday, and then those gusty north winds really start to kick on. So here's what that looks like throughout the first half of the upcoming week. By Tuesday morning, low 50s, but feeling a little bit colder thanks to those gusty north winds. We'll see the sunshine return. Temperatures topping off in the mid 60s. It's going to be cold out there Wednesday morning as well. Low 40s expected. Definitely going to want the coat, but we will see plenty of sunshine there as well. Mid 60s there too. And then that, of course, leads us into Thanksgiving on Thursday. More of the same. A cold start around 41 at 7 a.m. 60 degrees for any Thanksgiving lunchtime plans that you may have out and about. 65 for the current forecast high temperature on Thursday here in the Alamo City. I want to talk about the overall picture if you're planning on traveling, not just here across the state of Texas, but across the lower 48 here as we head into next week. On Tuesday, no issues for us here in Texas, but if you're traveling farther up to the northeast along the east coast, as that front continues to progress eastward, there is the potential for some rain and storms along the eastern seaboard. That will continue into Wednesday. Most of us, though, not finding any issues. Thursday, more of the same. A little bit of snow actually possible closer to the Pacific Northwest. That moves into the Central Plains if you're coming home on Friday. But again, for us here in San Antonio and across the state of Texas, we are looking at pretty good conditions for any Thanksgiving travel plans you may have after that front moves through late on Monday. So yes, we've got a beautiful stretch of days in the forecast. It will be cold in the mornings, but pleasant afternoons. We just have to get through kind of that gloomy day tomorrow. A few sprinkles, some patches of drizzle. So yeah, wouldn't hurt to have maybe the umbrella handy just in case you briefly need to use it, Courtney.
I think our weather looked the best in the country.
Yes, I think so too.
Brag about it a little bit. All right, Mary, well, it started so great for the Spurs. They just could not hold on.
The trend continues, unfortunately, and they know it as well as we do. They let another game slip away after owning a big lead. Grizzlies stunned San Antonio in the fourth quarter to steal the win. And we likely saw the last of UTSA's seniors competing in the Alamo Dome. More on Friday's emotional win coming up. The Spurs are home, hoping to see its losing streak come to an end against a shorthanded Memphis Grizzlies team. Spurs rookie Victor Wembanyama stuffed the stat sheet in the first half. Wemby was everywhere, blocking shots, hitting threes, rebounds, you name it. The rookie had 19 points, 13 rebounds, 8 blocks, and 4 assists in the end. But the story of this game was the Spurs led 68-51 at the half. And the Grizzlies surged in the fourth quarter, overcoming a 19-point deficit to defeat San Antonio 120-108.
There's a lot of good points for us that we can, take from this game. Now I think it's just important, like how to learn and play for 48 minutes. That's it.
This This year's group of UTSA seniors played pivotal roles in the rise of the Roadrunners football program. We're talking about quarterback Frank Harris, safety Rashad Wisdom, and 16 other student athletes that can say they were a part of elevating the team to what it is now. Last night was senior night when UTSA improved to 6-0 in conference play with a win over South Florida. And in the 38-10 win, Harris put up 523 yards of total offense and 6 touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 rushing, for a farewell in the Alamo Dome that'll go down in the record books.
It is bittersweet, not to play in Alamo Dome no more. Have lots of emotion. I think about the Alamo Dome. I was blessed to play a couple of games here in high school and to play my whole college career here. So definitely going to miss it. I'm going to miss some Alamo Dome cookies. Every home game I get Alamo Dome cookies and they're the best. So I'm going to miss those.
Not only do very few kids stay 4 years anymore, you can't even find kids that stay 1 year anymore. And our kids have been here the entire time. I've got to coach this entire group the entire time. And it's been a Cinderella story. I mean it. I'm grateful.
Head coach Jeff Traylor tabled the burning question of his future with the program after interviewing for the A&M vacancy. But UTSA, moving on, still plays or will play 24th ranked Tulane next week to close out the regular season.
Wonderful to see those seniors. They're such a huge piece of their success story. I love how he talked about the cookies, too. Very good.
I need to get those cookies.
They're really good. I've had them. All right. Thanks, Mary.
All right, again, a few sprinkles to patchy drizzle possible at times tomorrow, topping off in the upper 60s. We're about 10 degrees warmer on Monday before we see that next front move in. After that, windy on Tuesday, but much cooler, even colder by Wednesday morning. But very pleasant afternoon highs take us into Thanksgiving on Thursday. Courtney.
So excited. I got to get outside. I've been stuck inside potty training a toddler for 3 days. It's going really well. Don't worry.
Good.
That's all we have time for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.